Right, welcome everybody. We are very excited to be talking with Coree Woltering today. He is an absolute legend in the sport. I know I say that a lot, but Corey is somebody who really inspires me a lot. As someone who's kind of getting into ultra running, I see what Corey is doing, and it's like, I don't know, man, that's next level. But here he is. He's going to come in. So let's welcome Corey and get into it. Oh shoot, you know what? I'm not on Wi-Fi. Give me one sec. Um, you there, Corey?
Yep. How's it going?
Oh, you're going sideways. Should I go sideways too? Maybe, maybe. There he is. Hey, Corey.
Hey,
Awesome. All right, we got it. How's it going, man?
good. How are you? How was your run?
Oh, oh, it was great. Nice evening shakeout. Saw a huge herd of elk. First time I've seen that up north of our neighborhood here, so that was super cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Um, Yeah, seen a lot of deer, but this is like probably 50 elk. Really cool. Um,
Nice.
yeah, how are you doing? How's your first couple weeks in Flag been treating you?
Good. Like I am absolutely loving it up here. I think I'm finally getting used to altitude a bit. So like
Awesome.
easy runs don't feel like torture anymore. And yeah. So
Excellent. Cool. Well, I guess I kind of want to dive into things here. We got a lot I think we can talk about. But I guess why don't we start with the short term? I know you've got a race coming up that you're training for here in Flag. You want to tell folks about that and kind of how that's been going?
yeah, so I'm doing the Stillhouse 100K in Chattanooga. And this will only be this will only be like my fifth attempt at the 100K, I guess. Excuse me. So it's like 13,000 feet of climbing. It's super rocky, super rooty. It starts at 12:01 a.m. So with a midnight
Okay.
start in Tennessee, like that's going to be very interesting. I'm super
Yeah.
excited for that.
Huh. Is this an area that you have been to before? Do you kind of know the course a little bit?
I don't really know the course, but I've been to the area before, so at least know what to expect from the trails. Um, it'll be interesting.
Interesting. Okay. And I know you and I talked about this a while ago, but there is like the kind of supported versus unsupported style in the race. So like which way are you going with that? And can you tell us like just kind of refresh us about what that actually is?
Yeah, so I am actually going to go supported this time.
Okay.
I had been hoping to find a partner so that we could go unsupported, but it's just really hard to find someone that wants to run 100K, basically self-supported, especially one that starts at midnight.
Midnight.
And, and so, yeah, so I chose to go the supported route. And I mean, there's still only, I think, five aid stations for 100K. And so it's like mile like 8, 18, and then 31 and 49. So there will definitely be some stretches in there that will be a couple hours between aid stations. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of excited for that because there's like a mandatory gear list that you have to have, and it's like, I don't know, like eight different items or something. So pretty fun to have a race like that here in the States. Just because like as I've raced in like Asia and South America, then there's been a lot of races that have had mandatory gear list, but like I mean, you could show up to Western states and run that with, two handhelds.
One handheld. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that's and sorry, when is that again? That's early December, right?
Yeah, December 5th, which is
Awesome.
a very interesting time to be having a race just with like Thanksgiving coming
Yeah.
up next week. And, there will be a lot of people traveling for Thanksgiving, and COVID is starting to be definitely like way more prevalent in certain parts of the country. And so
Mhm.
that's one thing that I've kind of been struggling with as well is like, do I actually go do this race that I've been training for, or do
Yeah.
I just use this training for something else. And so I really want to do the race though.
Yeah, no, I know there was a lot of discussion around that with the JFK 50 mile that just happened this weekend. Kind of just in the running circles on social media and stuff. And I think it's really tricky because it's like, objectively, like the COVID situation is definitely getting worse in the US right now. But it's like you said, people love racing. They want to race. The races want to happen. They are trying their best to put everything on safely. So, I think if, you know, we kind of listen to the powers that be about these kind of things, and hopefully we can, keep doing them in a safe manner.
Absolutely. And so like I would say that definitely the difference between like this race and say JFK is the fact that like JFK was, over 1,000 people in the race and they had waves of 250 people starting at a time. Whereas like
Yeah.
this race is capped at 125 people.
Okay.
And so like, I mean, I guess it's like wave starts of 10 people at a time. Just a lot. They're doing a lot to make sure that they can actually put the race on. And
Mhm.
so I raced Stump Jump 50K that was put on by the same people earlier this year. And I thought they did an absolute like amazing job of being able to make sure it's safe, fun, and just, still be able to put on races. And like from what we've heard, like nobody got COVID from being at that
That's
race.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it can be done, and it's just like, are people taking the right precautions? And there's stories on both sides. There's stories that are happening and it going fine, and there's stories, I think actually, there was an event that happened pretty recently where, I think it was the junior college national championships and a little bit of a breakout there. So like, it's like, it just, yeah, got to be careful, got to follow the rules, and if we do that, then I think we can keep racing, which, is everybody's main goal at the end of the day.
totally.
Yeah. Awesome. So you said there's only 125 people in this race. You're obviously one of them. Do you know anyone else in the field? Do you have a goal going into this race? Are you trying to win? Are you trying to PR? Are you trying to just get experience? What are you looking for here?
Experience. So I have not run well at the 100K distance. I finished my first 100K and then I've dropped out of three of them since.
Ooh.
Just haven't been able to nail the distance. And it's always been some sort of like injury well, it's always been some sort of injury type thing during the race, which I haven't really been able to figure out. But at the same time, it's like even the even the 100K that I did finish, I didn't run it well. And then
Mhm.
I've just not been having great races at the 100K distance, which is really weird to me because I have run pretty okay at the 100-mile distance. And like I finished all
Mhm.
of them that I've started. And yet here we go to like 100K, which is quite a bit shorter. And
Yeah.
just the jump from like 50 miles to 100K has not gone well for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's an interesting, yeah, it's a little sweet spot right in the middle there.
yeah, so hopefully just get some good experience out of it. Definitely want to get experience on just the East Coast trails. And then, I mean, if I'm in a position to win or podium, then I'll be happy about that. If I'm not, then I'll still just be happy to get to the finish line.
Awesome. Um, so you kind of teased us a little bit with the experience on the East Coast trails there. So do you want to move into the announcement that I kind of teased at the beginning of this here, that you've got coming up for next year?
Yeah, Ragged Mountain 50K is the USATF Trail 50K National Championships up in New Hampshire next year, so that will be really fun. Um, East Coast Trails, no. Yeah, so next year is hopefully going to be a big year. I kind of have this fun plan in place of what I'd like to do over the next few years. And I would like to go after the FKT on the Appalachian Trail next April, going south to north starting April 19th.
Awesome. That is so cool. So for those of us who don't know, tell us a little bit about just the trail itself, what the record is, whose record is it? Yeah, let's start there. Give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, it is a lot of it's a long way to go. It's about 2,200 miles. And, it covers a lot of the East Coast states. And yeah, it's really kind of funny as I start to think about it. Because like after Ice Age, which was like almost 1,200 miles, I finished that and I'm like, oh, like that was fun. Like it wasn't as far as it seemed because you just got into this routine of like day to day to day of just getting the miles done. So I'm hoping it kind of goes like that for the AT. South to north is Scott Jurek, and it's 40 days and something hours. And I'm hoping to go a little bit faster than that.
Awesome. And what can you break that down for us? Like, what does that mean you have to average each day in terms of mileage?
It's
Top of your
about,
head?
I think it's like 55 miles or something per day. And so like that's really funny because like 55 miles is almost 100K. And that's a distance that hasn't seemed to go well for me, but I'm hoping that I can knock out multiple days of 100K plus. Um, so maybe I should just pretend like every day is going to be 100 miler and then just stop
There you
after I get
go.
enough miles in, and then there we go. Um, but no, so I have been thinking about the strategy for this, and uh, we can come back on some other time and talk more about the strategy for this after I actually test it out and see if it's going to work. So like this winter, I actually plan on, hopefully sometime doing a couple like backpacking, fast packing trips, like in
Mhm.
this area anyway, since I'll still hopefully be in Flagstaff, and just doing like 4 or 5 days in a row of just being on your feet for 16 to 18 hours and just trying out all the gear and making sure things feel good. Because I think it's really important to do those things. Whereas like before Ice Age, we put that together in like 3 weeks. And so like my longest like back to back to back run was like 4 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. So like
Wow.
on a normal day of the Ice Age Trail, like those 3 days were even less amount of time on feet than I was putting in on just like a single day on Ice Age.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Okay. Well, so I've hiked a little bit of the Appalachian Trail up in northern New England, and my the thing that amazes me about the AT record is like how rugged some of the terrain is, like how rocky it is, how steep it is, how not runnable it is. So is your training going to change a lot? Because my understanding of Ice Age, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it was much more runnable of a trail. It was much more like a traditional trail race. So are you going to approach this a little bit differently in terms of kind of planning to hike and power hike a lot versus running a lot?
Yeah, so yeah, there are definitely a lot of spots that are not runnable on the AT. I just think specifically of like the White Mountains,
Yeah,
because like
exactly.
that stretch is just going to be, that will be towards the end of the trail, and hopefully I'll be hitting it in mid-May, which is still, I mean that's snow covered,
For sure.
and so you definitely have to train for more of like the hiking aspect of it and like power hiking, and more on like the fast packing side of things rather than
Mhm.
like running and just going out and running for multiple hours at a time. So like right now there are a lot of really good routes in like Flagstaff and Sedona that are actually perfect for like the run hike aspect type of things, and so I've just been going out and trying to do some of that stuff. But I still have, this 100K in December and then hopefully Black Canyon in February. So I still have to have somewhat of my running legs left.
Yeah, for sure. Because and we could touch on Black Canyon in a minute because that's obviously a super loaded race. Um, but yeah. Anyway, super super exciting. And then I guess logistically, I wanted to ask about too. Um, some folks have done this kind of self-supported. Some have done it with a full crew where they're kind of getting met every night or every couple nights. Have you talked with any of your sponsors or support teams or anything like that about how you're going to do this?
Yeah, so I'm going fully supported. And so uh, things are definitely going to depend on the COVID situation in April.
Mm.
But my plan for this is to kind of have like a crew chief that is there for basically the whole time. But then I'd like to actually like have like a pacer second crew person that will also be there, but switch them out like every week or so. Just because like during Ice Age and we had the full crew with us the whole time, I think that everybody kind of started to get tired at the same time. And so instead of having, you know, four people or whatever that were like fully functioning, I had four people that were like, they're still amazing, but they're just tired. And towards the end of Ice Age, like in the final 100 hours, like we maybe got 6 hours of sleep. And so I really want to make sure that we don't come into that situation again. And if we do, then at least we'll have like people that are not just tired after being out there for almost 40 days.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to do is reach out to like local people that are on the AT, and see if any of them want to help pace or crew, just because, I mean, you can never have too much inside knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You should talk to Wardian because he did the oh gosh, what was it? It's out in Virginia, Shenandoah. He did the whole Shenandoah stretch unsupported this summer, like 110 miles or something by himself. So
Yep. Oh yeah.
yeah, he's a good guy. Good guy now. So okay, two more questions. One, why south to north instead of north to south? Like what's the rationale there?
You know, I just think that if we go south to north, then I think that we can start earlier. Just because
Hmm.
getting through the White Mountains in like April is not a great idea.
Hmm.
And so I would just like to be able to start earlier and just hope that maybe the world is a semi, you know, our new normal place by next fall, so that I can still actually race something next fall. So
Gotcha.
it's mainly just from like hoping that I'll still be able to race later in the year.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yep. Trying to just skew it as early as possible. And then you mentioned you had a specific start date of April 19th. Is there a significance to that date, or is it just like, all right, that's the date that my crew is available?
That's just kind of when we're able to start. And so I had already committed to a few things in March and April that I kind of forgot about. And then I was like, oh, like, I guess I have to keep on pushing this back a little bit, which is totally fine. So like April 19th, I'm like, perfect.
Sweet. No, that's awesome, man. I'm so psyched. We will definitely keep in touch and follow you along on that journey. I guess before we let you go, I also wanted to ask about Black Canyon because obviously that's another. You mentioned that one for folks who don't know. The Black Canyon 100K is here in Arizona. It's one of the golden ticket races for Western states, which means the top two finishers in that race get an automatic entry into the Western States 100, which is probably the most prestigious U.S. Trail race of the year. And I think it'll probably be a little extra competitive this spring because there's only three of them. I think usually there are like five
Yeah.
maybe. But just because I think of calendar and the fact that states didn't happen last year, there's only three. Bandera 100K in January, Black Canyon in February, and then I think Canyon's 100K in April. So I think it'll be super loaded. It's going to be really exciting. I would love to get down and be part of it or see it if I'm still around at that point. But I guess tell us a little bit about that because I know I've run a little bit of that trail and it's that one I would say is very runnable. So give us a little bit of a look kind of like into the next couple of months. Like what's your focus going to be training wise going into, this 100K in December and then building into Black Canyon?
Yeah, Black Canyon is extremely runnable. So over the next like 2 weeks, basically until this 100K that I'm doing, I'm still just gonna get out, do some like mountain adventures. Because I mean, once again, it's not going to be like a super, super runnable course. And so
Mm.
you can put in just days of time on feet and be totally fine right now. But then after that, I'll switch back more to like some road runs, tempo workouts, some speed workout type of things. I'll probably do my long runs on the Black Canyon Trail. Because last year well, I guess it's actually this year. Starting in January, we would go down to the Black Canyon Trail and run like 20-mile stretches of it, take two cars down from Flagstaff, and just shuttle people
Nice.
back and forth. And it was great. And so I had been on the full course twice before race day last year. I guess no, that was this year. Anyway, and so it was fun. It's it starts out at like 4,000 feet and it drops down to like 1,800 or something like that. And basically, in your first 60K, you only have about 1,000 feet of climbing, but you lose like I don't know, like 5,000 feet of loss or whatever. And so it's like it's this downhill, super runnable course. Like everybody wants to get through the 60K like quickly, and then you just get like punched in the face over the final 40K of the race because it's like final 40K is like 4,000 feet of climbing, 4,000 feet of loss, and at that point you're not at altitude anymore. So all of a sudden it's like 90 degrees, full sun.
Yeah.
There's like no hiding from it. And everyone's like, why don't I have climbing legs? It's like, well, you've been running downhill for 37 miles. And so it's a super fun race. I actually dropped out of that this year at 60K because I was peeing blood. So so that was the end of my race. And that's when we thought that I had COVID without even knowing what it was. Because I got like super sick before the race. Like 10 days before the race, I just got the sickest I had ever been. And like I was to the point that I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't go for runs, I couldn't breathe. Somehow I still made it to the start line of Black Canyon and was running pretty decent. Then was peeing blood at 60K, dropped out. And then it took me about 6 weeks to actually feel decent on a run again. I left altitude and went back to sea level and just couldn't breathe at sea level. I just couldn't even really get in my workouts. And so it was just the strangest thing ever because I had never been that sick and never had just, symptoms that lasted for that long after. And so I just want to go back to Black Canyon and finish and have a good race there. And even if I finish in a spot that could potentially get a golden ticket, I'm still going to turn it down.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm sure a lot of people are happy to hear that. Cool. Okay, last question. You kind of became a little Insta famous for your racing in a Speedo. Will we see you at Black Canyon or on the AT racing in a Speedo?
Absolutely. 100%.
Can't wait. We got to get you a Chaski Speedo, man. That's what we need.
There we go.
That's thinking outside the box.
I like that plan.
We'll do it. You're going to need a lot for those 40 days on the AT.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
All right, man. Well, this has been great. Anything else you want to say? Any sponsors you want to shout out? Anything like that?
I think I'm good, actually.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time. It's been awesome. It's been super fun. I'm super excited to see both how you do in these next 200Ks and, following you next spring on the AT. It's going to be awesome, man. So Best of luck with everything. And hopefully I'll see you around town. We're like a couple miles apart right now, so we should
Totally.
socially distance, get together for a run at some point again, man.
Totally. Absolutely. I can actually run this time.
Awesome. All right. Cool. Well, thank you, Corey. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Have a good night, y'all. And, we'll be in touch. Bye.